Hi, I'm David Penn, research analyst with Finovate. We're here at Finovate Europe 2022 in London, and joining me today is Dr. Louise Beaumont. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Delighted to be here as ever.
Fantastic. So I thought maybe we could just get started by having you tell us just a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
Sure. So I'm based here in London, but I think globally. I work with legislators and regulators to create disruption. I work with corporates to help them then cope with that disruption. And I take occasional investments in and take board advisory positions with the startups I think are going to exploit disruption. So I like a 360 view of disruption, and my particular interest is around open banking, open finance, and open data in general, because I think data should be within the purview of those people who create it, me as the consumer, or me as the business, me as the government. And we should be able to access services which are powered by our data that benefit us, that serve us. Hyper-personalized, predictive and preemptive service. That's the dream.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Now, you're a Finovate veteran, a longtime fan favorite here. What is it like to be back at Finovate Europe?
Well, the first thing is it's overwhelming. There are so many people, there are so many ideas, and there's so much enthusiasm. And there's been some really amazing hotspots. I interviewed Jeremy Bolkin from JP Morgan, who's got a title as long as your arm. He's only been there a year, but he's been doing absolutely amazing things in the payments space. And JP Morgan's ambition is extraordinary, and his enthusiasm for that and the investments they're making, the acquisitions they're making here in Europe are really profound. They're not just in payments, they're setting the pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the opportunity to talk to him a little bit, and he really emphasized the fact that that Europe really needed to sort of treat itself a little bit better. That sort of felt like, compared to the US or the Asia, that it was sort of getting overlooked. And he said there's absolutely no reason for that. So I thought it was very interesting.
He said something really, because I was teasing him. I was saying, come on, you know, we're being told Europe's so last century, it's all about Asia, big markets. He said, no, and he took us back to the very progressive regulation we have here around PSD2, open banking, now open finance is coming, and then open data, they're thinking about it. And PSD2, and also strong customer authentication, GDPR. These regulations are now mature, which means the innovation can scale. And when you've got scaling innovation and scaling talent, you've got a really powerful virtuous circle.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you just chaired our payment stream not so long ago, and you moderated a power panel on new technology, competitors, business models, that kind of thing. I'm wondering if there are any takeaways or key highlights that maybe you could share.
Well, first I thought from all of the keynotes I heard, the panels I was part of, one, it strikes me there's a hell of a lot of money in the space, and also a hell of a lot of PR. And so what that's going to drive for us is a cycle of proliferation and consolidation. But it's not just going to be the once. It's going to be many cycles of proliferation and consolidation. So we shouldn't just think it's one and done. Oh, we've had our proliferation, we've had our consolidation, now we can just all be incumbents together. No, it's going to happen again and again. And the second one was about payments orchestration. That was a really interesting thought, because clearly there are some people out there who think, yep, absolutely, payments orchestration, we're market makers, it's going to be us. And clearly there are some people out there who think, well, no, with central bank digital currencies, the payment orchestrator is the government. And I just wonder if the governments have realized, or if they just think, well, it's a central bank digital currency, or whether they recognize, actually, I really am in charge here, and I've got an orchestration role. And they're not treating it as, like, you know, sand dollars or or something which is great for PR again. And then there was something that was really interesting around a case study around how Stripe is powering Shopify's growth. Because what Stripe's product set allows Shopify's merchants to do is absolutely understand where they are with their cash. Ins, outs, what's there to be managed in the middle. And it's a really powerful tool for Shopify to grow and for Shopify's merchants to grow, and therefore for Stripe to grow. And it just struck me that it was all, the alignment was there. It's not just about Stripe's growth. It's not just even about their customers' growth. It's about their customers' growth. And then ultimately, I guess, the end consumer. And when you've got that line of sight, it just feels like it's going to work. And it reminds me of something that somebody who flies small planes said to me once, which is, if it looks right, it'll fly. And I felt like, oh yeah, this looks right. It's going to fly. So those were the thoughts that occurred to me.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, you mentioned Stripe. Let's spend a little bit more time talking about payments. In terms of what you've seen, what you've heard, what would you say in the payment space is really hot, and what maybe in the payment space has cooled off a bit?
So what's really hot? I'm going to go back to JP Morgan because they feel really hot to me right now. And Jeremy said a couple of things which really made me smile. He said every business is a payments business. Because if you're moving money, you're in payments, right? Even if you're not technically a payments business, you're moving money. You're
part of it.
You're part of it. Every business is a payments business. He said this one again and again. Payments are borderless. So stop thinking about it in rigid little geographical boxes. And thirdly, which I really enjoyed, payments has gone from sleepy to sexy.
Yeah, indeed.
And that feels, again, true. It feels really true. I'd also say buy now, pay later. We had a really interesting set of sessions around that in the lending track. And it's like people have woken up to how, again, used sensibly, used constructively, this can power growth sensibly and proportionately. And so we had some good lessons around that. And that leads me to what's less hot now. Well, those traditional, it works for me, but I'm not going to make it easy for you, credit models. Or those payments is the thing I'm going to charge you for, rather than payments is just embedded, actually the value is around data. So it's that legacy thinking, which is, I'm the big dumb product push. God, I hope it's dead. I hope the big dumb product push is dead. It does deserve to die.
Right, excellent. So maybe by way of wrapping up, I was thinking that we could talk a little bit about some of the things that the financial industry should sort of be keeping in mind. Always a bit of both the most interesting question and the trickiest question in terms of what sort of either technological developments or even cultural shifts might be sort of working around the corner the next 5 years or so that you think that banks, fintechs, financial services companies really should be keeping an eye on.
So the big one for me is stop being parochial, start being systemic. And so what that means is stop being this ferociously control freaky organization that's like, this is my bit, I own this, I do this. Anyone who comes to come and work for me can work for me. You can be a supplier, but you can't be a partner. Actually, I think it's about being systemic. And this is about really genuinely being able to work with asymmetrically organizations which may be very different to yours, may be good at something that's very different to what you're good at. Asymmetric in the terms of size or age or any of this. So so systematic, not parochial, and good at asymmetric relationships. And I also think that builds on my next point, which is saying it's no longer about tarmacking the goat track. So the things that we've been doing forever, just make a little bit better. A fintech improvement here. No, it's about systemic improvement. And then if you're going to be deep and connected about this, if you're going to be systemic about this, then you need to have open at the core,
Right.
because it's about putting data back into the hands of those people who create it with their behavior and allowing them to access the value of that data with the service that you provide.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Well, definitely some stuff we're going to have to be keeping an eye on along with the banks and the fintechs as well.
I hope so.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Always a fun time talking with you. A lot of very interesting insights. I think that our watchers are going to really enjoy the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us as well.